The first level of the game, Stereo Madness. Stereo Madness is quite the level, man. Starting off with this level, it's relatively simple, gets you into the game. It starts with just one spike, then there's two spikes, then there's a little staircase. It introduces you to the ship. It's got a couple triples so that you get used to that idea, and it is a great level to get people accustomed to the basics of the game. Also, the third coin is just randomly way harder than the other two. So for that reason, I can only give it a respectable, but not outstanding, B tier. Back on Track. Back on Track is not too bad. I think it's not as hard as people think it is. Personally, I've found it easier than Stereo Madness because there's no triple spikes. And if you're still on the joke about this being the hardest level in the game, I hate you. You suck. B tier. Polargeist. This is the filler level. This is the filler level between Back on Track and Dryout, honestly. I understand it's one of the first three, so it's pretty iconic, and for that reason, I won't give it a D or an F, but holy crap is this level boring. There's literally a ship part that is just a black background, and you can just trail at the top and casually let go of your screen for like half a second whenever there's a block up there, and then boom, you have a free coin. C tier. Dryout. Oh boy, Dryout. Dryout is iconic because it finally introduces you to one of the most standard mechanics in the game, the gravity port. It does so gradually so you can get used to it. Plays pretty well. I'd say this is our first A tier. Alright, this is the part where some people might get a little concerned. I think base after base is way better than people gave it credit. A lot of people say that this is the most boring filler level in the first 7 levels that were part of 1.0, and I think people saying that it's another version of Can't Let Go is somewhat valid. I still find it enjoyable to play, even if it's not the most interesting. C tier. And next up we have, fuck. And I understand a lot of people are big fans of Can't Let Go, and there are a lot of people who say that it's one of the more enjoyable earlier levels in the game. But holy fucking shit, it's literally just base after base if base after base was on fucking ketamine. You can't tell me that this isn't just base after base on ketamine. D tier. It plays like trash, it's unsight readable, it's ridiculous. Things did improve from there, but only slightly. Jumper has its problems, it's got that one coin that's literally bloodbath, but it's still enjoyable to play once you get a fair bit better at the game. And the trash coin is balanced out by this other one, which has a very interesting secret path. It also gets you a lot better at gravity gameplay. C tier. Alright, now we finally get out of the 1.0 levels and into the update that introduced the most useless and obsolete feature in the game, mirror portals. Listen, if mirror portals weren't dead before, 2.2 killed them completely. We have the reverse trigger now, it's really not that deep. Mirror portals don't work in a level that's harder than like Retray. It adds almost nothing to the game, especially after 2.2, and it also happens to be the only defining feature of this level. It also does the straight fly coin again, which is just ridiculous, especially at this point in game progression, and the amount of triples in this goddamn level. Just why? Why would you do that? They're all nerfed now anyways, because Robtop realized that it's stupid to have 1,000 triples in one level and just smush them together in recent updates. So why don't you just commit to it and make it a double spike? I don't understand. D tier. And in terms of triple spikes, things did not improve from there. Cycles has a bunch of them at the beginning. Not as many as Time Machine, granted, but still a fair bit. That being said, Cycles has a very, very handy way of getting you acquainted with the ball game. It has the arrows, it has a lot of reaction time, and towards the end of the level, it gets into some more fun, complicated gameplay. The iconic ship part, while challenging, is fun, increases how comfortable you are with gravity switching. Overall, I'd say it's a nice, respectable B tier. Next up is X-Step. Honestly, pretty good level. It's pretty enjoyable, and it's the last level that uses a lot of the 1.0 block decoration. Once you get to this point, really things like coin placement and sight readability aren't as much of an issue, because by now you should be pretty used to most features in the game, and the levels are more so about introducing you to new features as updates progress the game, as updates came out and progressed how complicated the game could get, instead of getting you used to the game in and of itself. And you know what? I like the use of blue pads. It's a cool way to have a death trap in a level that isn't an instant kill. You can still technically survive it. I'm pretty sure no one has ever done that. They probably just panic. But hey, it's possible, it's unique, it's interesting. A tier. Oh boy, Clutterfunk. I'm gonna be completely honest, a lot of people don't like this level, mostly because of the green ship, but I'm sorry, this level's a banger. Yeah, the mini ship is not the easiest to control game mode. There's other things that are of similar difficulty in this level, just with different game modes. And also the part of the drop with the freaking cow fart where you just drop down and it goes, wow, actually carries this game, dude. It's not perfect by any means, but it's definitely up there. I would consider this an A tier. I don't have much to say about Theory of Everything, other than just that it does a really good job of getting you used to the UFO game mode. But there's not necessarily anything special about it, and it uses the mirror portal a fair bit, so I'm putting it in C tier. Oh boy, next up is Electroman Adventures. I might be biased towards this one, because it was the hardest level on Geometry Dash Lite for several years, and every time someone was playing Geometry Dash Lite in front of me, which was infinitely more common than someone playing Geometry Dash full version, I would just say, yo, can I one attempt on a level? and then they would hand me their phone, and then I would beat Electroman Adventures in one attempt. So I got really good at this level, and yeah, I would just beat it in one attempt, shattering the progress on the game, because it made me feel less bad about myself. A tier. Next up is Club Step, the first demon in the game. I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't think this level is enjoyable, but it's very important if you want to get good at the game, and I think it does a good job of getting you used to demon levels. That being said, I can't forgive it for the absolute cesspool of satanic garbage that this level spawned when it came out, in terms of custom levels in the game. Even just thinking about PG Club Step makes me want to order a drone strike on the creator and on Robtop. The Club Step itself is okay. B tier. Next up is this. Electrodynamics. This is vile. Every part in this level is either boring or ridiculously difficult. Sure, I can beat every non-demon Robtop level in like 5 attempts max, but back when playing this level, holy shit did I want to tear my eyes out. Yeah, the song's good, and yeah, it's fun to play once you've already poured 300 hours of your life into the game. But if this wasn't an official level in the game and I came across it on the servers as some random 10-year-old's custom level, I would lose my shit. D tier. This one too, I don't understand why the speed changes had to be present while introducing the dual game mode. Sure, dual physics are pretty interesting, but building an entire level around it doesn't serve well even in the modern day. This only plays well after you beat Deadlocked. D tier. Oh hey look, we made a square. This is my next icon. Oh boy, now we get to the good shit. Next up is Blast Processing, the holy grail of Geometry Dash jokes. Not only does this introduce the wave game mode, which I named my freaking channel after, with a fire beat and a better use of the dual game mode, it's got style, it doesn't cram every single feature under the sun into one level. This is our first perfect S tier. Next up is Theory of Everything Squeakable. I think this level does a pretty good job of balancing memory gameplay and traditional gameplay. It's very click pattern based, which is 100% something that is useful throughout the entirety of playing the game. It has more fun with a lot of the 1.9 features that Blast Processing didn't show, but that ship part at the end, it ruins all of that built up goodwill. C tier. I don't give two fucks what anyone says. This level is an S tier. Let me explain why. People say this level is ugly. People say this level is unsight readable. Both of those are true. But one, I don't care if a level's ugly. It does its own thing. It looks like Super Mario. I love it. Two, the memory really is not that difficult. It has visual cues to show you where things are before the platform becomes visible, and the rest of the level plays pretty well anyways. If I'm ever sitting around or just bored at the function, you bet I will be pulling out my phone and playing Geometrical Dominator. But things start to fall off a little bit more after that. Deadlocked, the hardest official level in Geometry Dash, and oh my god is this level frustrating. I'm not even mad at it because the level's hard. I'm mad at it because the transitions in this level between parts suck balls. A good amount of the level plays fine, and the boss fight's pretty cool, but there's just a few transitions in this level where if you enter slightly too early or slightly too late, you just die and there's no visual cue that shows you that it's going to be a big deal. Also, the hellspawn of custom levels that Deadlock's release brought to the game cannot be forgiven. D tier. Next up is Finger Dash, which used to be named Finger Bang, but they couldn't do that because someone looked it up on Urban Dictionary, and it's a South Park bit. I don't know what the lyrics say, but what I do know is that this level does a great job of getting you used to the spider game mode, even if the spider game mode itself usually kind of lacks when it comes to custom levels and stuff. But overall, it's really fun to come back to, which you will probably be doing because nobody gets the third coin on their first shot. And with that, we get our third S tier. Next up is the most recent addition to the main game, Dash. This level is super fun. It took me 2 attempts to beat because the amount of skill that I accumulated between Finger Dash's release in 2017 and 2 months ago is I think a fair bit. It does a good job of getting you introduced to the arrow trigger and the swing copter. If it weren't for that spider part that GD Colon made a video on and subsequently turned into a giant meme spanning across the entire internet, it would be an S tier, but only because of that I'm moving it down to A tier. Because yeah, it is pretty confusing if you're a newer player. That being said, if you're a newer player, why are you playing Dash? It's literally the last level listed. Feels like kind of shooting yourself in the foot there. Okay, now it's time for the spin-off games. First up with the 3 levels from GD Meltdown. First up is the 7 Seas, which I'm gonna be completely honest, hits super hard. It's easy. It's also a pretty good level if you're trying to get into the game and for some reason didn't download Geometry Dash Lite or just want something that's slightly more visually appealing. Meltdown is your man. It was the game that teased moving objects before they were added to the main game. It's got a banger song, it's sight readable. I would give it an A tier. Viking Arena achieves the same effect, but it's a little bit more boring, so I'm just gonna give it a B tier. There's just not really much to say there. But where things really pop off is Airborne Robots. This level feels like a final showdown for some reason, and it slaps so hard. It doesn't slap hard enough to be S tier, but it's definitely up there. For the other Meltdown levels, oh wait, there's only 3. I still don't understand why Subzero wasn't just an update to Geometry Dash Meltdown, because it's literally another spin-off game with only 3 levels. And Robtop said that he's going to make more spin-off games in the future to tease future updates, but I digress. Press start, S tier, Dan 2DM, moving on. Next up is Knock'em, which is significantly worse. I think this level sort of falls off in terms of decoration, even if the gameplay still does pretty decent. It's also kind of boring, but overall, I give this a C tier. Power Trip includes a lot of really interesting 2.2 features that it teases, but the gameplay isn't the most enjoyable, and the coins are ridiculous. Still a C tier though. It's not as boring as Knock'em, so I'll give it a B tier. Anyways, next up are the 10 extremely short levels from GD World, the other spin-off game that we have not talked about yet, that honestly I understand not being a Meltdown update, because it is technically more than 3 levels, even if the total playtime of all of these put together is like 1 level. The only thing I can say positive about all these levels is that, yeah, technically they are not bad at getting people into the game because they're pretty short and all super easy. Well, guess it's time to rank them. Payload, boring, F tier. Beast mode, boring, F tier. Machina, Machina, F tier. Years, F tier. Space Pirates goes in the Space Pirates tier. It doesn't even do its job to be easy. Frontlines, F tier. Striker, D tier. Round 1, F tier. Embers, F tier. Monster Dance Off, you can skip half this level, F tier. So yeah, all we got left is the platformer levels. First up we have, I think it's just the tower. I don't know. It's the first level. It's very easy. It's relatively short. It does a really good job of getting you used to the platformer mode, and it makes sense why it's boring, so I'll still give it an A tier. Next up is the sewers, which is the first platformer level that has a boss fight. And sure, it's fun, but the boss fight in some parts is just plain annoying, especially when you're trying to get the coins. So B tier, I guess. I'm gonna be completely honest. I don't remember anything about Cellar. I'm gonna have to go rewatch a showcase of it. Oh yeah, this part's pretty cool, honestly. This level's got some cool gimmicks like the falling icicles and the moving platforms and the sort of booby traps towards the beginning of the level, but it's not too interesting or memorable. C tier. And next up we have the Secret Hollow, aka the Cursed Thorn boss fight. And I'm gonna be completely honest, up until now, all of the platformer levels are pretty easy, at least compared to a lot of the normal classic mode levels. But holy crap, does this level throw that out the window. The entire level is a fair bit harder than all the other ones before it, which makes sense. It's the final boss of floor 1, but the boss fight is the biggest spike in difficulty in this entire game. You're telling me I'm going from jumping around happily collecting little yellow coins and a fun little machine that turns me from cube to a sphere, and then I have to deal with this idiot who spits fireballs, lasers, and tries to fuck you all at the same time? Sure, it's enjoyable if you've completed something harder, which I have, but it's still a noticeable difficulty spike from the rest of the tower. D tier. Also, the speedrunning coin for this level is the only coin I don't have in the game yet, and that's coming from someone who beat every map pack. Alright, thank you guys for watching, and what's this? What is that? I've heard about you. Do you watch my videos? Yeah, whoever defends this is higher than Robtop when he rates levels.